Blackbeard is one of the most renowned and feared pirates to ever sail the seas. Tall with broad shoulders and a face full of coarse black hair, he was able to create an intimidating image that haunted opponents throughout his reign. Blackbeard combined his fierce appearance with a charismatic personality to easily cause his victim to surrender, convince at least 13 different women to take his hand in marriage, and form numerous shady deals to protect himself both physically and legally. Blackbeard was a fighter until the very end, going out as violently as he had lived his life.
Most of Blackbeard's early life has remained a mystery, as not much information is known about his childhood and family life. This is a common occurrence in the lives of almost all pirates throughout history, as they would often adopt nicknames to avoid bringing attention upon their families and their native countries. Edward Thatch or Teach was believed to have been born around 1680, most likely in Bristol, England. According to most records, Thatch was able to read and write and could communicate among merchants with ease, making it very likely that Thatch descended from a wealthy family.
Arguably the most important aspect of a pirate's life is the strength and reliability of his ship. A pirate ship is the foundation of their life. It is essentially their home, transportation, and workplace, all wrapped in one. When it comes to Blackbeard, he was fortunate enough to be able to work on one of the most renowned ships to ever sail the seas.
When Blackbeard was appointed captain of a recently seized boat, he quickly made new, deadly additions and named the vessel Queen Anne's Revenge. Most believe this name came from the War of Spanish Succession, which was known as Queen Anne's War. Thatch served in this war in the Royal Navy, and it is assumed he gave it this name as foreshadowing of the terror he planned on inflicting along American shores. Thatch's additions to the boat were unorthodox yet effective. He increased the Revenge's armament from 14 original guns to around 40. Thatch also equipped his boat with numerous untraditional weapons. He used Lagrange ammunition, which was a canvas bag filled with lead shot, nails, spikes, and glass that were fired from cannons, resulting in a downpour of various projectiles. Other unusual ammunition included 9-inch bolts glued to cannonballs, as well as double-headed cannonballs that were connected together by chains. Thatch equipped the Queen Anne's Revenge to kill the people on opposing ships while leaving the opposing vessel in pristine condition in order to loot the cargo and take the ship. In the following months, after many attacks on merchant ships, Blackbeard sailed to Bath, North Carolina around January 1717, where he accepted an Act of Grace, which was an oath to give up piracy in exchange for a pardon by King George I. Blackbeard, however, was unable to contain himself and slipped back into his old ways shortly after signing the oath. In one of his boldest moves near the end of May 1718, Blackbeard's fleet appeared outside the entrance to the harbor of Charleston, South Carolina, in an effort to block the busiest and most important port of the southern colonies. During a period of 5 or 6 days, a total of 9 of these vessels were seized and plundered off the coast of Charleston, with countless others being stopped and questioned. Eventually, with political hostages on board, Blackbeard sent several pirates ashore to get medicines and other valuables in return for the release of the hostages. 3 days later, they came back with the supplies, and Blackbeard kept his promise to the prisoners and let them go. After sailing from Charleston, Blackbeard and his crew headed for Ocracoke Inlet in North Carolina, one of Blackbeard's favorite anchoring spots. His base of operations was near the southern tip of the 18-mile-long island. This spot, located south of Springer's Point, has been known since the 1700s as Teach's Hole. Blackbeard in the Queen's reign was short-lived, as the ship ran aground in July of 1718 while entering Old Topsail Inlet in North Carolina. Many in Blackbeard's company believe he grounded the ship intentionally in an effort to break up the fleet, which had grown to over 300 pirates. However, Blackbeard's intentions were muddy due to the fact that the treacherous North Carolina coast had already been deemed the graveyard of the Atlantic. The area has taken down over 5,000 ships and an unknown amount of lives since the first reported wreck off the coast. The North Carolina coast has countless small inlets, islands, and coastal rivers that complicate its geography. The sandy composition of the underwater land causes passable channels to change formation almost daily as currents change and storms pass over. This change of the unseen landscape makes it nearly impossible to navigate the waters to this day, not to mention in a time where maps were drawn by hand. During his run at playing both the legal and illegal sides of being a pirate, Blackbeard had secretly came to an agreement with then-Governor Charles Eden that Thatch would give the governor a portion of his loot in return for legal protection from the governor. This agreement paid dividends to both sides until Blackbeard's death. Weary sailors and merchants grew tired of Blackbeard's tactics, eventually voicing their frustrations to Virginia Governor Alexander Spotswood, as they suspected Blackbeard and Eden were working together. Spotswood agreed to assemble a search party for Blackbeard to end his haunt of the North Carolina coast. Spotswood hired approximately 50 sailors from British ships that coincidentally were stationed in Virginia at the time to locate and kill Thatch under the lead of Lieutenant Robert Maynard. Maynard's men sailed south aboard 2 small ships provided by Spotswood before finding Blackbeard off the coast of Ocracoke Island late on November 21, 1718. The fleet decided to wait and attack the next morning. At the first sign of light, Maynard and his men attempted to sneak up on the pirates, who had reportedly been drinking the entire night before. Unknown at the time, luckily the majority of Blackbeard's men were ashore when the attacks began. While advancing towards the pirates, the ships became stuck on a sandbar. It is told, after the pirates noticed the stranded ships, a shouting conversation between the two captains occurred. During this conversation, Maynard told Blackbeard of his intentions of advancing and coming on board with Thatch. Blackbeard reportedly replied, "Damnation seize my soul if I give you quarters or take any from you," which was a roundabout way of letting the British men know he was not looking for a friendship. Once the tide rose, Maynard was able to move towards Blackbeard once again. Thatch reacted to this movement by firing an unorthodox artillery shot that killed and injured 16 men, including the captain of one of the boats. The remaining boat continued forward, firing shots that successfully dismantled Blackbeard's ship's sail so he could not flee. While approaching Blackbeard's immobile ship, Maynard ordered all but 2 of his men to hide in the cargo hold with their weapons ready. When the 2 ships were beside each other, Blackbeard saw the few visible men aboard Maynard's boat and believed his previous shots had depleted the crew. With confidence, Thatch and 10 other pirates boarded Maynard's ship to finish the fight. The hidden sailors emerged once he was aboard and a fight ensued. The fight reportedly resulted in 5 gunshot wounds and 20 cuts across Blackbeard's body, yet remarkably he continued to fight, until a sailor caught him off guard, slashing his neck from behind. As the story is told, following the semi-successful first cut, the demonic-looking Thatch congratulated the sailor by saying, "Well done, lad." The sailor subsequently replied, "If it is not be well done, I'll do it better," before landing a second blow with his sword that severed Blackbeard's head, laying it flat on his shoulder. Lieutenant Maynard took Thatch's head and mounted it on the bow of Blackbeard's ship as proof of the pirate's death in order to collect the bounty. Following Blackbeard's death, many of his crew members were captured both on board the ship as well as on land. The captures resulted in 13 executions and the collection of papers that showed Governor Eden's guilt in his conspiracies with Thatch. However, Eden was never charged with any crimes.
The announcement of the discovery of the Queen Anne's Revenge in Bayford Inland by Governor James B. Hunt Jr. in 1996 connected Blackbeard to North Carolina forever. The discovery is one of the biggest in North Carolina's graveyard of the Atlantic. Nearly 3 centuries after his death, the fascination, mystery, and interest for Blackbeard's life, piracy, and death continues to draw tourists and visitors from around the world, creating a remarkable financial contribution to Bath. According to North Carolina folklore, the ghost of Blackbeard still haunts the Outer Banks region to this day, swimming through the water in search of his favorite head.
My Georgia, oh Georgia, get it home way through. This old sweet song